Hey, hi, hello. My name is Emily, and thanks so much for hanging out with us on the Today Needs You podcast. This is where we have the chance to chat about all the things, from feelings and friendships to our favorite sneakers and our favorite Bible verses. We're going to tackle it all. I'm super pumped about today's episode, so let's dive in together. Hi, guys. Hello.
Hello.
So glad we're back together this week and joined by our lovely friend, Abby.
Hi.
So glad we're all here together. Today, we are talking about change. Mm-hmm. That is the pattern of what we've been talking about over the last several weeks. Or topic, pattern, all the above, sure. And we're going to dive in because the summer, I feel like, is usually everyone's in a little bit of a limbo. Transition. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to dive into that today. But first, Abby, tell us a little bit about yourself. We've already met you in a previous episode, but just give us a little refresher and kind of what stage of transition, ebb and flow you're in.
Yeah. So my name's Abby. I am born and raised in Austin, Texas. I went to the University of Texas, Hookham. I bleed burnt orange. We were raised that way. Respect the Longhorns.
We also have an interview with an Aggie this week or this month, which we also talked about this rivalry. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, I'll keep my mouth shut about Aggies.
Yeah,
but
focus.
that's okay.
Focus.
But the stage of transition that I'm in right now is I'm a recent graduate, so figuring out big girl jobs, big girl life, what being an adult means, bills,
bills.
Lots of bills, taxes. Recently, I'm super invested in gardening.
Yes. Like Abby is really taking us on a journey on her TikTok.
90 to nothing on gardening.
I love it.
But it's a blast, and it's part of my, something I can control, coping with a lot of change.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. That's actually a really good point that you make, because that rings true for me. I do like to control what I can control, especially when a lot is going on around me, and especially when I'm entering into a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
I went full on change voluntarily a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. I quit my job and started a new one, and also started dating Jordan, who we're now getting married. And so it's just like all the changes all the time.
Big changes all at once.
We love it.
Yeah, which is typically how that happens. Nothing ever happens slow.
I feel like it go through it like calm before the storm, they call it, and then it's like bam.
Yeah.
Here we go. And I realized something when I was actually probably your age. I'm just like a few years ahead of you, but I thought adulting was that you figure out how to get stuff to stop happening. But really, it's just that you get better at dealing with it, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're still hoping.
Yeah.
But that is something I really struggled with when I was graduating, because I felt like everything was coming at me at once. And I felt really alone in it because I graduated a year early from school.
Yeah.
And none of my friends were graduating. And so I was going through that change alone and no one to really work through that with, what that looked like. And I remember for the last 2 years on New Year's, I thought, okay, this year, all I hope for is a year of nothing. I would love if nothing happened to me this year. That would actually be great.
Is that how this year has gone for you?
No, the last 2 years have been anything but nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. It's not about having a boring year.
Right.
It's learning to control and get used to the fact that life is just always coming at you.
Yeah.
Good and the bad.
Good and the bad. That's what I feel like I have had to shift my view of change, because I thought change was, even if it wasn't a bad change, I just have always felt like change is bad because it's change.
Yeah.
I know that's really profound, but I have had to work on like, looking at, okay, is this change a good or bad change? Because some change is bad and you can't control it and it's unfun and gross.
Yeah.
But also be like, oh, wait, I think this change is a good one. So I'm going to like make sure I see it positively in my head, even if there's some unfun things attached to it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
A change hurts, good or bad, because like growth spurts and like growing muscle, you get sore. It's
Great
painful.
example. Yes.
It's good. Like imagine if like we were just, that hurts. I'm not going to grow. So I'm just going to be like 3 feet for the rest of my life. Like you have to grow and it does hurt, but it ends out better. You are a fully formed human physically and emotionally.
That's what I was thinking. You're so right. Like that is, those like growing pains are part of a full life. I think a full life. We like to talk about John 10:10, where Jesus says, I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly, overflowing, a full life, have it to the full. Lots of different versions saying the same message. But I think that full life is one that does not stay the same. And that's like fun and exciting and gross.
Scary.
I think being able to hold those things at the same time is also a skill of like, this can be gross and scary and very exciting.
Yeah.
Like going to college, for instance, or starting high school or starting middle school, or going to a new school, moving to a new city, whatever it may be, moving into a new house. Maybe you're newly a part of a blended family or newly a part of a recently split up family. Like so many different ways that your life can be changing. And there can be exciting parts and unfun parts.
Yeah. I think there always is. And I quote this verse any chance I can. I love
when
it.
I read it, I think of you.
Yeah, it has been my verse like my whole life. But John 13:7, and Jesus replied, if you not understand what I'm doing now, but someday you will. And I think that rings true for so much pain within change.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, like it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be confused as like, this is wrong. This change is bad. And then looking back, like, no, that change was an awesome thing, whether that's letting go of a friend, not getting into a college that you really wanted to go to, not having the roommate that you dreamed of, not getting not having the major you wanted, like all those things like really sound awful and in that moment stink. And looking back, you're like, oh, thank goodness that was not what happened to me. This is so much better.
Really worked out for me, even when it felt like it didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. What are some ways, Abby, that you handle like the growing pains and unfun change and transition?
One is definitely reminding myself of John 13:7, that I don't know what God's doing in my life, but I have proof in the past that those things that I thought were really bad at the time were actually really great for me. So holding on to that, focusing on the things I can control. So like when I was
gardening.
Like gardening. And when I was going to college, when I was a senior, I had plans to go to a different college than UT because I thought there's no way I'll ever get into UT. And that stunk, but I chose a college where I basically could choose whether I wanted to go or not. I could get in, no problem. I chose it. I was able to choose. I focused on things I could make the decision on. I'm choosing my dorm, I'm choosing my roommates, and I'm choosing somewhere close to home because I want to be close to my sister, and focusing on things like that, and then letting kind of the rest of the cards fall where they may.
Yes.
Like all those things may not work out. And it turned out that I ended up getting into UT, Hookham, and I got to choose pretty much none of it. I chose my dorm. I didn't choose my roommates. I didn't choose my sorority. I didn't, all of those things just kind of happened to me. And thank goodness they did.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, where like, it's kind of a trade-off. Like there was this school you could have gone to where you could control these things and not control these things. And then there was this school that you ended up going to where you got to control certain things and kind of flipped. That's so interesting. Yeah, I think that's really good. And I also think, Abby, something that I think we both value is like not doing things alone and having your friends, being able to make new friends, having friendships change, but also stay. I think is something where we have gotten to, you know, talk to the people who have been in our lives. And sometimes they say, yeah, that really stinks right now. Or they give some advice on how to handle it differently. Or they're like, hey, snap out of it. The more you talk about it, the more you're going to stay in it. And having friends that, I think everyone kind of has their like leaning of what they're more likely to do out of those three things. But that's why it's nice to have more than one friend and kind of important to not put all of it on one person.
Yeah.
But I think having people in your life that will do that also
Yeah.
is so helpful in navigating that. Because like your brain can't, while you're in it, while I'm in this like crazy, somehow all the changes happening, I feel because it's more change than I'm used to. It feels like everything is changing. And then I have friends in my life that listen to me say all the words. I have friends in my life that are like, yes, a lot is changing and a lot is not changing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then some people are like, yes, and here's how to manage that change. And I'm like, I'm so glad I don't, my brain, because my brain gets frazzled. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I have people around me that are like, hey, I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
And I like to listen to them because I trust them.
Yeah. I think it's important to figure out who kind of caters to what when you're going through change. Like I go to my mom usually first when I'm overwhelmed. Just
Yes.
I trust her. She's better at seeing the bird's eye view than I am because she's older.
Yes.
And her response is usually toughen up.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this. You're strong. Like, who cares if that's changing? You're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And so then I'll go to a sister or a friend
Right.
who is a little more soft with it and maybe going through the same thing
Right.
or just went through it and is more apt to tell you to go through that with you and say it's okay to feel that way and this is what I did, and even little things like you can control what food you eat, you can control whether you go on a walk,
So true.
you can take 10 minutes out of your day to sit in silence or scroll on TikTok and like let your brain release.
This is good. This is helping me take a deep breath.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it's
Abby.
like reminding yourself like I control where I live.
Right.
I control when I wake up.
Right.
I control all of that. And the big things are really heavy, but it's like the when you're going through a lot of change, the days feel really long, but the years feel really short.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. And it rings true.
So true. I was just talking about that with my mom the other day because I was like, there's so much going on.
much,
I was like, this week, every Monday I call her and I tell her my whole week schedule. And I was like, I have something literally every day after work and work every day this week, including the weekend. I was like, it's a lot. And she was like, I was like, the days feel so long, but I just can't believe it's already May. And the time is flying by. And I think that so then focusing on the things in your day, those days that feel so long, focusing on things in your day that you can control will make you feel like you have more overall control in your life.
I think that's so good. That's so awesome. And I'm excited because for the specific season of change for incoming college freshmen, I'm so excited. We are launching a course / community. It's like all on one platform. But it is called All the College Things, designed for girls newly entering into college. And I'm so excited. We're going to talk about these things that we've touched on, all the excitement, all the changes, all the feelings, all the people, all the thoughts, and also all the support, like knowing who you can turn to, how to access resources, that God has blessed us by putting around us and in our lives and in our spheres, and also getting excited with each other. They're like fun little like chat challenge and platform and like chat forum, and I'm very excited. And getting excited with each other, being like, what's going on with each other. And I'm super pumped. So that's in the show notes, also at allthethings.community. But I am so excited about that and wanting to, because again, all the things, we want to talk about all the things.
Yeah.
And change is a big one. And in this season of summer, we want to tackle summer. We want to read our Bibles, write in our journals, and stay plugged into the community of girls that we have with all the things, and also our church communities and our families and our friends. Stay tethered and stay plugged in with other people. And I think it can be a really great summer. I'm excited.
Sure.
And Abby, thanks for hanging.
Of course.
It's
always
so fun.
So fun.
We'll see y'all next week. Thanks so much for listening while we're just getting started. If you want to stay plugged into this community, like, subscribe, and let us know what you'd like to hear more about, who you would like to hear from by shooting us an email at info@allthethings.community.